Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through information to bring you the really interesting stuff.
That's the plan.
And today, we're tackling something we use constantly, maybe without even thinking much about it. English contractions.
Right. Those little squished words like can't, won't, should of.
Exactly. We've got some notes here from English with Confidence, and they dig into why English seems to love these things.
Yeah, the goal today is to get beyond just, the basic definition. We want to look at the why behind them.
Unpack the rules, maybe some secret rules.
And look at where things can go wrong, plus some of the regional flavors they pick up.
Basically, help everyone listening navigate these with a bit more confidence.
And maybe have a little fun with it too. English can be pretty quirky.
Okay, so let's dive in. The source talks about 3 golden rules. Rule number 1, the apostrophe marks missing letters. Seems simple enough.
On the surface, yeah. It's like do not becomes don't. That apostrophe slides right in where the O used to be.
Simple efficiency.
Exactly. Or I have becomes I've. And you lose the H, the A. It just smooths things out when you're talking.
Makes sense. But then English does its English thing. Will not becomes won't.
Won't. Yes. Won't.
Where on earth did the ill go? It's not just missing letters anymore.
Well, this is where it gets interesting. Won't is actually a bit of a fossil.
A fossil.
Yeah, linguistically speaking, it comes from older ways of saying will not. That sort of morphed over time. It didn't follow the neat pattern.
So it's a historical quirk that just stuck around.
Pretty much. Language isn't always neat and tidy, Sometimes history leaves its fingerprints.
Okay, that makes won't feel a bit less random. So rule 2, some verbs just refuse to join the contraction party.
Right. The big one is am not.
We don't really say ammed.
Almost never. I mean, the source does mention that odd question form, aren't I?
Oh yeah, aren't I? Which is weird because it looks like are not I.
Exactly. It's another one of those strange exceptions, but generally ant just sounds, wrong to most people today.
And the notes mentioned may not.
Yeah, apparently mayn't sounds too medieval.
Huh. Okay, so some contractions just fall out of fashion or never quite catch on because they sound clunky.
Seems that way. There's an unwritten rule about how they should sound.
Which brings us nicely to rule 3. And this one's a bit wild. Double contractions.
Well, yeah, they exist. But, and this is a big but, they are super casual.
Like really informal. The example given is I would have becoming of.
Ivov. Yeah, you can really hear how compressed that is.
And it gets even more intense regionally, right? Like in the southern U.S.
Definitely. The notes mention Yaldiv for you all would have.
Wow. Yaldiv, that's stacking them up.
It really shows how far you can push it in, very relaxed speech with people you know well.
There's that anecdote in the notes, too, about context. Someone texted I'd have come to their professor.
Oh, right. And the professor's reply.
I'm not your friend.
Ouch! Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know about using those double contractions appropriately. Context is key.
Absolutely. Which leads us straight into the whole formal versus informal battleground. The Great Contraction Wars, as the source puts it.
Yeah, this is crucial. In formal writing, think academic papers. Serious reports, you generally avoid most contractions.
You'd write, the government cannot intervene. Not
the government can't intervene, lol.
Definitely not the law.
So formality often means spelling things out fully. It sounds more deliberate.
But switch to everyday conversation or even emails between colleagues.
And contractions are everywhere. They're the norm. I am going to just naturally becomes I'm gonna when we speak.
Or even, as the notes say, I'm gonna, if you're talking really fast.
Right. It's about efficiency and flow in spoken language.
Are there exceptions, though? Contractions that sneak into more formal settings.
There are a few that are so common they often get a pass. It is almost always becomes it's.
Unless you really need to emphasize the is for some reason.
Exactly. Or unless you mean the possessive it's without the apostrophe, that's a whole different thing.
Ah, yes. The it's versus its minefield. We'll probably come back to that.
Definitely. And they is nearly always there. Again, super common.
But you absolutely have to distinguish there from their THEIR and their THERE.
Oh, absolutely. That's foundational. Getting those wrong is a big red flag for many readers.
The source has a good practical tip here. If you're not sure whether to contract, just say the phrase out loud. If it sounds natural as a kind of quick, maybe slightly mumbled version, it's probably a standard contraction. Trust your ear.
That's solid advice. Your intuition for how the language sounds is often spot on.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Regional contractions. This is where English gets really colorful.
Yeah, it's fascinating how the language adapts locally.
So American English gives us the wonderful y'all for you all.
A classic. Very warm, very southern U.S. in origin, though it's spread quite a bit.
And you can even get those stat contractions like the notes example. Y'all loved it.
Which is just so much more efficient than you all would have loved it.
Definitely has more personality. Then over in British English, ain't.
Ah, ain't. It's a complex one. Originally, it was used more widely, but now... Well, the notes say it's often seen as rebellious or non-standard.
So saying I ain't doing that carries a different weight than just I am not doing that.
For sure. It has social connotations. It can signal identity or defiance, depending on who's saying it and where.
Interesting. And down under in Australia.
They can get even more clipped. It is, can apparently become...
Sis. Like, it's not my problem.
Exactly. The notes cheekily add that it might come with a hint of, go away.
Huh. That direct Aussie style. Love it.
It really shows the drive for brevity in the spoken language.
So for listeners wanting to get a better feel for this, the notes suggest trying some over-contracting.
Yeah, just as practice, try saying something like, what I want to do for what you want to do.
What do you want to do?
It helps you hear that rhythm and understand how those sounds merge together naturally, even if you wouldn't normally speak quite that informally.
Good tip. Okay, now for the part everyone needs to pay attention to. The contraction crimes.
Dun 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 dun.
Mistakes even native speakers make all the time. First big one. Could've versus could have.
Oh, this is huge. It drives grammar pedants crazy.
Because could've is correct, right?
Yeah.
It's short for could have.
Yes, have represents have, could have is. Well, it's just wrong. It sounds similar when spoken quickly, which is probably why people write it incorrectly.
But it doesn't actually make sense if you try to expand it. Could've what?
Exactly. The source calls it a grammatical felony. A bit dramatic, but yeah, avoid it.
Yeah.
Same goes for should've, would've.
Got it. Crime number 2. It's versus its.
The classic apostrophe catastrophe.
So it's what the apostrophe means.
It is, or sometimes it has. The apostrophe signals that contraction, that missing letter.
And it's with no apostrophe.
That's the possessive, like, the cat chased its tail. The tail belongs to it.
Easy to mix up, but crucial.
Absolutely. Read it back to yourself. If you mean it is, you need that apostrophe.
And the final, usual suspect, the terrible trio, there, and there.
Ah, yes. The bane of many writers.
Let's break it down one more time. There.
T-H-E-Y apostrophe R-E. That's the contraction for they are. Like, they're going to the park.
Okay.
Their, T-H-E-I-R, that's the possessive showing ownership. It's their car. The car belongs to them.
Got it. And there.
T-H-E-R-E, that usually refers to a place. Put the book over there, or sometimes it's used to start a sentence, like, there is no reason.
Okay. So 3 distinct words, distinct meanings, just happen to sound alike.
Precisely. You just have to pause and think which meaning you need.
And the Force gives another useful tip here. If you're looking at something like should've, and you're tempted to write should've.
Try expanding it back. Should have makes sense. Should have doesn't. If you can't logically expand it back to the full words, the contraction form you're thinking of is probably wrong.
That's a really good self-check. Okay, so let's move to the listener challenge, a mission for everyone listening.
Yeah, become a contraction detective.
Step 1, just spot a contraction out in the wild. In a book, a TV show, an email, maybe a will or a they've.
Yeah.
Just notice it.
Easy enough. Step 2. Try to unpack a trickier one, like take wouldn't-have,
Ooh, wouldn't.
and expand it back into its full form.
Which would be would not have. 3 words hiding in there.
Exactly. The notes say your brain might hurt a bit, but it's good practice.
And step 3, experiment regionally. Try saying y'all if you don't usually.
Or maybe ain't, just to see how it feels. Does it sound natural coming out of your mouth, or kind of clunky or illegal, as the source puts it?
It's interesting how ingrained our own speech patterns are.
Totally. And the notes have that funny hashtag observation.
Right. Heard Ida Van a song, now I can't have unlearned it. Hashtag contraction addict.
Once you start noticing them, you really do see them everywhere.
Absolutely. So hopefully this deep dive has shed some light on these everyday but actually quite complex things.
We've covered the rules, the formal-informal split, regional variations, and those common mistakes to avoid.
It's clear they're a huge part of what makes English sound, well, like English.
Definitely part of its rhythm and flow.
So here's a final thought for everyone to mull over. We've seen how contractions often reflect informality and efficiency. What other, maybe even subtler linguistic shortcuts are we using today?
Yeah, like in texting or online communication.
Exactly. What might those shortcuts tell us about how our communication and maybe even our social interactions are evolving?
That's a great question to ponder. How is language changing right under our noses?
Something to think about.
Uh,
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.